This podcast is brought to you by Live Intent. Whether or not Google ever decides to remove cookies, Live Intent's Hero, that's helping identity reveal opportunity, offers a solution that transforms non-addressable audiences into addressable inventory using first-party data. Hero is scalable, interoperable, and integrated with major industry players, providing a robust framework for navigating this new era. See how Hero can help you quickly unlock your inventory at liveintent.com/hero. That's liveintent.com/HIRO. Welcome to Marketecture, where you can get smart fast with in-depth interviews of leading technology executives. I'm Ari Paparo. I'm joined today by Dan Rua, the CEO of Admiral. Dan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Ari.
So big news this week. So I just saw going into this interview that Admiral announced a big fundraise. Why don't you tell me about that to start?
Sure. Actually, it's been a big couple weeks, multiple announcements, but the one this morning was our growth round of funding led by Harbert Growth, $19 million in total to keep doing what we're doing. You know, our mission is saving the free internet one publisher at a time. They believe in our mission. We've been helping a lot of publishers generate a lot of revenue, generate a lot of visitor relationships. And so we've got more fuel for the rocket now.
That's great. What round was that for you?
That was actually our Series A. Yeah, we had only been seed funded before that, and then Series A for us.
That's a big A. Well, congratulations. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the company, what you do, what your size, maybe in terms of employees, where you're based, that sort of thing?
Sure. A quick kind of origin story. So my background, computer engineer, got into venture capital with a Silicon Valley group called Draper Fisher. Did about 2 funds, 30 companies there, then launched a fund of my own to do another 10. So about 40 companies in total. One of the last ones I did was in the music streaming space. It grew very large. Grooveshark was kind of the pioneer of music streaming before Spotify and others. And we experienced what many media publishers experience as far as we were ad supported, subscription supported. And we noticed something was kind of chipping away at our revenue, and we dug into it and we realized there was a whole set of visitors coming to our website that we weren't even aware of. And it was really the dawn of ad blockers and data blockers that only break ads, but also break your analytics and such. And so you don't even realize they're showing up. So it's this kind of phantom segment that's coming and going. And our users loved us. We won all the user choice awards and everything. And so we just said, listen, if they are doing that to us and they love us, well, then they're just crushing the rest of the internet. And so that was really our kind of founding kernel. We ended up selling that company off, grabbed the product team, spun them out to create Admiral. And the seed MVP was just size and solve ad block losses. And that alone is a multi-billion-dollar problem. But we also did some kind of root cause analysis on why the problem even started. And this goes back to just like the core business model of the internet, right? If you could attach ads to content and pump out that content, you didn't need any sort of relationship with the visitor, right? You just keep pumping out content. And as long as your content's good, you've got a business. When you have a model like that with no relationship, then by nature, both sides start to abuse the relationship. And so on the publisher side, they abuse it with too many ads or bad ad experiences. And on the visitor side, they abuse it with blockers, and they don't care if you live or die. And if we think about, a sustainable internet into the future that empowers and educates and entertains the way it has so far, the parties actually need to care about each other. Like there needs to be some form of relationship between the two. And so that led into our much bigger vision, which we call visitor relationship management, which comes back to this idea. And it actually ties in very directly with everything that's going on with kind of privacy and user empowerment. It started with ad blockers and then data blockers. And now we got death of the cookie, and we've got GDPR, CCPA. All of those things that might feel like individual fire drills are all part of the same wave. It is the same wave of disruption, which is based on kind of a drive towards privacy and user empowerment. And when you see that happening, you realize that the old way of tracking people across the internet and shooting ads at them is no longer going to be sufficient going forward. You can no longer just kind of hide behind your website, track people, shoot ads. You have to stick your hand out and say hello. And there was no platform to do that. And that's what visitor relationship management is.
Right. So you're fundamentally saying the root cause is that publishers don't have strong relationships with their consumers.
Correct. And they don't even really have the tool set to do it, right? We have billions of dollars of ad tech. And ad tech is built to just kind of shoot ads as efficiently as possible.
Right.
What we're talking about is more of a really MarTech centered internet. How you talk to someone on your website, how you might cultivate the relationship, how that might turn into some sort of a conversion, whether it's an email address or turning off a blocker or a privacy consent or a subscription or donation. Those are all marketing exercises. And yet there was no HubSpot for media pubs. There was no Salesforce for media pubs. And so that was the aha moment for us and why we created VRM.
Okay, great. So let's talk about what products are actually offered. So you started with a ad block recovery product. Is that still part of the suite?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a multi-module suite. That first module, well, actually the very first module is called Measure. And it was really just, it's a free analytics module. You put our tag on page and we start to show you stuff you're just missing because people surfing under the radar.
Like what? Tell me about the analytics, because everyone has an analytics provided company. So how is yours different?
Yeah. So we're really started out focused on that. What are you missing from the existing analytics, right? Google Analytics is broken by blockers. Adobe's broken by blockers. Even your ComScore is broken. And so we give a view into kind of missed opportunity. And that's free. And we say, listen, whether you do anything else with us or not, you should at least be measuring kind of missed opportunity.
So is there like a line item that says, here's how many of your audience are blocking by geo and things like that?
Yeah, it's a pretty robust dashboard that you can slice and dice in a bunch of different ways, and just various numbers pop out. What you can make from subscriptions, what you can make from ad block, and a mix of things.
Right. How is that actionable? You said what you can make from subscriptions. Are you sort of what-ifing like on a percentage take-up rate or something like that?
Correct. And again, that's just the measure module. Then if you want to take action on any one of those items, you can flick a switch and turn them on with no coding required. And so that's kind of one key innovation, is this kind of one measure tag that delivers value, but then you can flick a switch and you can turn on ad block recovery as one module. It's called the Recover module. We've got a Transact module, which is focused on subscriptions and donations and microtransactions. We've got a Convert module, which is focused on email capture, accounts, registrations, which also leads into UID we can talk about later. And then a Consent module, which is privacy consent for worldwide. And then lastly, a Connect module, which is a first-party data module. It really underpins all of them, both in organizing kind of contextual or consumption-based first-party data and direct declared first-party data. So you can ask any user any question you like to go grab data, pull it into the first-party data object.
All right. Well, I may not remember all those module names. Well, let's run them through. All right. So how does the ad block recovery work? What's the basic mechanism?
Yeah, basic mechanism is really a marketing exercise of talking to visitors and getting blockers off. When we started into the category, there were really three ways this was happening. One was talk to visitors and get blockers off. One was really the business model of the biggest blocker in the world, where they try to they say, listen, we'll let some of your ads show if you just pay us off.
Yeah.
Right. And then the third category is trying to trick the blocker or sneak ads past the blocker.
Right.
And because of our focus on relationships, we said, listen, that sneaking ads past the blocker actually works against the relationship. And so we said, listen, this is a marketing problem to solve. How do you talk to people about supporting content that they love and doing very intelligent journeys, so that it's not just a dumb ask that just shows up on every page view, but instead an intelligent journey. In the same way you might think about paywall journeys, you can think about the same thing in relation to getting blockers off.
So you literally put up a light box that says, we noticed you're using ad blocker. Don't you love us? What's your problem? Come on, we'll join the party.
100%.
Help us out.
If you surf around and you see those, you will probably see a powered by Admiral down in
How effective are they?
Very effective. We've got people at 90% plus recovery rates. If you were to take our default journey out of the box, you'll end up getting about a 30% recovery rate. But then there's a bunch of knobs you can turn that kind of start working that up. We applied AI on top of it to optimize the journeys. And we can also pick up when there are surges, for example, right? Say you're NASCAR and there was a big wreck in Sunday's race. And so everyone goes to see what that wreck looked like, right? That single article, you don't want to realize that a day later. You want to realize it in real time. And you as a publisher have more value to exchange right then.
Right.
This whole thing is about value exchanges. And so in that situation, the journey is actually able to kind of auto optimize on the fly.
And do you offer any explicit value, or is that up to a publisher? Do they get a chance to win something, a free prize, whatever?
So they can offer a mix of things, but that actually starts to flow into our other modules.
Right. Okay.
We do multi-offer, right? So it's kind of like, please turn off your blocker or give us an email address, or turn off your blocker or subscribe, right? And so you can kind of set up these kind of multi-offer options.
Okay, so let's talk about those. Let's talk about your subscription driving business. Do you do the full subscription, or you just drive them and assume the publisher has the back end?
Yeah, we do it soup to nuts. One of our core competencies is the whole journey system. And so this was, I'll come back to subscriptions one second, but the journey system is really core here because some pubs have kind of cobbled together like a VRM stack with maybe 5 different vendors, right? They've got
VRM.
Yeah, visitor relationship management. That's really the core of what we're doing here. You can think of it like CRM, but applied to a visitor and a media publisher. So a lot of pubs maybe cobble together a stack with 5 different vendors, different point solutions. And each of those point solutions, number one, it's a separate tag, it's a separate vendor to manage and legal. But most importantly, it's 5 different decision engines happening on page that is slowing down the page, and just as bad, kind of stepping on top of each other, because each point solution is focused on their goal, not the overall visitor journey. And so this is one of the things that's going on with the whole shift of the internet, is that publishers are starting to have someone own the visitor journey, or sometimes a committee to think about the overall visitor journey. And they need a tool to do that very well. And so that's our core competency, is this very sophisticated journey system with targeting and frequency and first-party database targeting and all sorts of things. So that comes back to subscriptions. We can drive subscriptions through our journeys, right? What frequency do you ask someone? Who do you ask, right? Are you asking your loyal or your flyby visitors, that sort of stuff? Then they flow through a funnel all the way through to checkout and credit card management, right? We can be the account system. We can be the credit card checkout system, and publisher doesn't have to touch any of that stuff. And we just send them money at the end of the month. And then post-subscription, we also, are enforcing, for example, if you have premium content that is subscriber only, our system is then enforcing that access control.
Right. Do your customers often integrate you with other systems like actual CDPs, or do they have API access to all of this data?
Yes. Yeah. So we built it from the beginning such that you don't need to adopt all of our modules. Our whole go-to-market is more of a land and expand. So what is the first module you're focused on, right? What is the first pain point you have? It might be privacy consent. It might be subscription. It might be ad block, whatever it is. We say, let's solve that problem first with that module. You don't need the rest of our modules. And then you decide whether you want to turn on other modules, right? You can start to shed other tags or what have you, or we integrate with your existing systems. And so if you already have a subscription system that you love, or a privacy consent system that you love, or what have you, our journeys will integrate with that anyway.
Right. And so talk to me a little bit about optimization of subscription offers or email sign-up offers. Do you give the customers the ability to do test and control, A/B test, things along those lines?
Correct. Yeah. So you can do straight kind of manual A/B testing so that you've configured different journeys and what are the outcomes. We also were one of the first ones out of the gate with Gen AI-based A/B testing back in, I think, February 2 years ago, where, to be honest, a lot of publishers aren't sure exactly what to say when you are talking to a visitor. We know a lot of best practices, but the average publisher is just getting started with this. They may not know what to say. And so number one, with Gen AI, we gave them just push button. It takes the content of your site, the offer you are making, right? Is that a subscription offer or ad block or email? And the tone that you want, right? Do you want it humorous or friendly or what have you? And in a one-click way, it'll generate messaging for you. Then what we did was we folded that together with an A/B system so that it doesn't just generate one, it generates multiple and runs them against each other and finds a winner. And then it can generate another, runs them against each other, finds a winner. And that is just broad-based optimization. But you can do the exact same thing on a segment level. And so you say, well, people coming from search, let's figure out what the optimal way to talk to them is. People coming from social, let's figure out what the optimal way to talk to them is. People who are, loyal versus first timers. And so the system can kind of auto optimize on a segment basis.
Got it. So what of the modules that you listed? I think you listed 6 or 7. We covered a bunch, sort of. What did we miss?
So Convert is actually started out kind of a basic module. It's kind of an email capture module, but it's blowing up right now. I think, the drive towards death of the cookie has been driving publishers to look for email accounts, kind of the authenticated web, if you will, and UIDs. And such that kind of that email capture is going to start to become table stakes in kind of the internet going forward. And so we're getting a lot of use of the Convert module for that. We're getting some very innovative uses of the Convert module also, because it's kind of an open-ended, what do you want someone to do sort of module. And so CBS Sports is an example where their marketing team, if there's a Caitlin Clark WNBA basketball game happening and they want to kind of do some journey shaping to flow people over to that game, they actually use our journey system to drive people in that way. And that can help you not only go from, 1-page view to 5-page views for a visitor, but in that instance, it actually drives them over to some of their Paramount streams, which is highly valuable. So that's the Convert module.
And then in terms of first-party data, you had mentioned that as a newer innovation. So this is publisher-based segments used for advertising?
Publisher-based segments, let's just start there. Well, publisher-based data first, right? So it is both integrating, contextual and making the specific asks, right? So again, first you want to get your top 7 golden data points to get used in majority of campaigns, but then you could go as deep and narrow as you like. So number one, that gives you an interface where you're looking at people not as Google Analytics data points, but like a CRM. Like this is Ari, and Ari likes cats versus dogs or what have you, and you may leverage that.
Yep.
Then the question is, what do you do with those segments? Number one, you can filter all of your analytics on those segments. So you can say, well, what are my conversion rates with cat lovers versus dog lovers, right? So just from an analytics standpoint, the segments get pretty interesting. But you can push them over to your ad stack, which is the first use case most people think about. Very valuable there. But then it also automatically fits into all of your journey logic. Right. And so again, if someone is a Tampa Bay Bucks fan versus a 49ers fan, if you're asking them to subscribe, you might make different references in that ask based off of which segment they're coming from.
Right. That seems pretty smart. So let's talk about implementation. Are publishers able to manage all of this, or do they need help, and how do they get help?
Yeah, it really depends on kind of the scale of the publisher. So we think of it as 3 main segments. There's the kind of long tail self-serve, which anyone can come in and get signed up with us and get started. Then there's kind of the SMB, which is, pick any category, whether it's cricket or fishing or what have you. And there's a site out there with millions of visitors on that topic. That SMB group either just gets started self-serve, or our customer love team will help them get rolling. Again, we know a lot of best practices, and so we can get people started immediately with journeys that are optimal. And then lastly is the enterprise. And enterprise has come even faster for us than we expected. So we've, folks that use us already are NBC Universal, Paramount, CBS, Hearst, News Corp, Gannett. That scale of publisher, we deliver white glove, right? Our customer love team will go through an entire onboarding exercise with them, lay out for them recommended journeys. Again, they can tweak anything they want. A lot of times we'll have a discussion less at a turning every knob level and more at a, what is the performance you want, right? Are you after a certain conversion rate or recovery rate or what have you? Let's start there. We can then share with you the type of journeys that would achieve, whatever your kind of rate goals are.
Gotcha. A lot of times folks don't like to talk directly about their competition, but I kind of want to put you in some map a little bit with who's out there, because this sounds a little bit like Bounce Exchange in some ways, but it also sounds a lot like a lot of niche players only do one of the things that you do. So could you expound a little bit on that?
Definitely. So Bounce Exchange is probably a great comparable for kind of the email capture piece of this.
Right.
They don't really go deep on the capabilities like from an ad block recovery or from a subscription, but on the email capture and kind of a journey way of thinking, I think Bounce Exchange is probably a good comparable there. At the same time, they kind of, I don't know if it was on purpose, they largely kind of exited the category. We rarely ever run into them. And so I think they're doing something different for pubs. And I think they're doing a lot of stuff more with brands, agency work or something that's a little different than the straight line media pub.
Okay.
Then there's the point solutions, like you said. Yeah, we've got competitors in ad block recovery. We've got competitors in subscriptions. We've got point solution competitors in privacy consent. And they're all good companies. Some of them may be a little more morally challenged than others, but
morally challenged. Well done.
But the VRM way of thinking about this wins the day. When publishers start to think about us, they may start out in like a point solution way of thinking. And then when they start to think about, yes, I am managing 6 different vendors and it is starting to hit my visitor journeys, and you're showing me at least a path of how to kind of get from here to there. It's worked pretty well for us so far.
Talk me through the pricing model, and is it per module or just volume, and what's the payment on subscriptions?
Yep. So it is per module. So again, we kind of modeled ourselves like HubSpot, of a very kind of land and expand way of thinking about it.
Yep.
So each module has its own thing. The simplest way to think about it is there's a couple modules which drive direct publisher revenue. So the ad block recovery and the subscriptions, donations, microtrans drive direct publisher revenue. And so in that scenario, the key value metric, like in the SaaS world, there's this idea of what is the key value metric that your customer cares about. In that case, it's the revenue dollar. And so we price directly on the revenue dollar. And so it is 100% performance-based. There's no platform fee or anything. We are driving new revenue for you, and we get a cut of doing that. On the other modules like Convert, Connect, and Consent, those are a bit more driven on just kind of volume. What is your kind of page view volume or data volume? And the pricing is kind of SaaS and scales with those volumes.
What's the entry level for the SMBs?
$40
a month.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you get for that?
Well, it depends on which module you want. Like we don't tend to sell the entire platform like it's like here.
Right.
It depends on whichever module you want.
Right. But I could go to getadmiral.com right now and sign up.
100%. Yep.
Great. Let's move on to quick lightning round. Relatively quick questions, relatively quick answers.
Super.
What's your number one competitive advantage?
The journey system and focus on visitor relationship management, which is just a key topic.
What's your biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge is just continuing to innovate across the modules, given that we are kind of broad versus narrow.
Right. Makes sense. Why won't Apple, Google, Amazon, et cetera, build this and crush you?
Google's never been great at kind of the end user piece of all of this and kind of the helping the publisher with what are optimal journeys and all that sort of work. And so I don't really have much concern there. Apple, no. Our bigger competitors, as far as the big guys, would be the kind of staple marketing automation players. So a HubSpot or a Salesforce, Marketo, their current platforms aren't built right for the scale of media publishers. But if they went there, then that would be.
That makes some sense. What's the number one reason people say no to using your platform?
Probably just priorities. Like we might be talking about one of those modules, and that particular module is not a priority for them right now. That's actually one reason we like the multi-module approach, because one of those things is typically priority.
Got it. Last question. If Admiral was an animal, what animal would it be?
Jeez, if we were an animal, I just picture like a beast. Like, just imagine a beast. Like everything we can do coming out of that one tag is just an absolute beast working on behalf of publishers.
All right, I'll accept beast. Dan Rua, CEO of Admiral, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. It's great, Ari.
Thanks for listening. New interviews are added every week at marketecture.tv and your favorite podcasting app.
Thank you for listening to the Marketecture Podcast. New episodes come out every Friday, and an insightful vendor interview is published each Monday. You can subscribe to our library of hundreds of executive interviews at marketecture.tv. You can also sign up for free for our weekly newsletter with my original strategic insights on the week's news at news.marketecture.tv. And if you're feeling social, we operate a vibrant Slack community that you can apply to join at adtechgod.com.